I love creepy things hidden in video games, and I've spent already a lot of time covering a bunch of these different stories on this channel. And while researching these oddities, looking at which ones I find interesting, which ones I should make videos on, time and time again, I've come across Hanging Luigi. And there's a lot of Nintendo fans out there who have really latched on to this story, with theories like Luigi's Dead. Now, I enjoy these fan theories as much as the next person, and I'm not out here with the goal of spoiling anyone's fun, but there is no way Nintendo would do Luigi dirty like this. They would never depict gaming's biggest icon's little brother being killed. Or maybe they would. Let's humor this story and take a closer look. Hello and welcome back to Deep Cuts, a show that examines lore, backstories, and theories in video games. Hanging Luigi. Let's start off this video by taking a look at the apparent creepy Easter egg itself. In Luigi's Mansion on the Nintendo Gamecube, late in the game, Luigi enters an attic area, which contains a rotary phone that's ringing. Luigi approaches the phone and answers, where he's asked who is speaking. And he is presented with the option to say either it's Luigi or it's Bowser. Now the conversation on the phone itself isn't important, but while he's talking on the phone, if you hang around long enough and wait for lightning to strike, when the screen flashes, an outline of Luigi can be seen, hanging from the ceiling. Creepy stuff. Maybe? It's a little off-brand, not something you would expect to see in a Nintendo game. In The Wizard of Oz, sure, but not really Nintendo's style. Now, as I'd mentioned, I do a lot of looking around online for creepy or interesting gaming-related stories for my video series Deep Cuts, and I can't tell you how many crappy websites with clickbaity articles I've come across, with all of them reporting that this is like a legitimate creepy Easter egg. Some even go so far as to say that you can see the noose. Like what? Which, fine, it's definitely a strange thing that happens in the game. It's definitely weird, but nobody wants to do the work. All of these terrible sites, they're just using the same low-res image that's been floating around on the internet forever. Probably because the area in question is a bit further into the game, technically in the final area. So, to get to the bottom of this once and for all, we played through my original copy of Luigi's Mansion on my Gamecube so we can take a closer look at this anomaly in action. And I also played through the 3DS version of the game and captured direct from there. We're not messing around. One thing I noticed while replaying this game is that Luigi's Mansion is still a very good-looking game even 18 years later, which is crazy. The game has dynamic lighting and shadow effects. Luigi and other characters, objects in the environment, they cast shadows in real time. And this is important because I and many others think that what's really happening here isn't some morbid thing Nintendo has snuck into the game, but actually a rather simple lighting glitch. I know, not nearly as exciting. Flashes of lightning can be seen in various areas throughout the game, primarily in the rooms on the south side of the mansion, you know, the ones with windows. Makes sense. And the flashes produce shadows that behave the way you'd expect. They stretch and bend across the floor or the walls. Being a launch title for the GameCube, Luigi's Mansion really was a visual and technical showcase for the console. The room where the hanging shadow occurs is on the 3rd floor in what's called the telephone room. Once I reached it, before interacting with the phone, I waited around to see first a regular flash of lightning. And the shadow was normal. I then went ahead and answered the phone, but before I progressed through the dialogue, I waited for another flash of lightning. And sure enough, there it is! Luigi's shadow, his silhouette, hovering in midair. But is he really hanging? Really? Again, I don't want to spoil anyone's fun here, and well, Nintendo has hidden creepy things in their games before, but I think we can present a few things that can refute this fan theory. Luigi's posture in the shadow appears to be standing normally. His feet are flush and flat, as if he was standing, not hanging. When Luigi's on the phone, his hanging shadow doesn't appear just once, not twice, but if you stand around long enough, it will happen every single time the lightning flashes. This I find to be more in line with a lighting error than a deliberate Easter egg. One thing I don't see often mentioned is that the phone room contains not one, but 3 separate phones that Luigi can answer. And the mysterious hanging shadow, it appears when you interact with every single one of them. And finally, the 3DS version of the game, which was a remake developed by Grezzo, does not contain the hanging Luigi shadow. Answering the phone in this version of the game results in a normal shadow being cast when lightning strikes. Again, this game had to be remade for the 3DS. It was not a simple port, so they were able to correct any issues from the previous version of the game. So what's really happening here? One extremely important thing to note is that when Luigi answers the phone, the camera zooms in and tilts to a slightly different angle. What I believe is that when the camera zooms in, the off-screen light source that causes the lightning must move with it, putting the source of the light slightly below Luigi, and thus casting a shadow that appears as if it's hovering. If the light source was below and on the left side, it does appear to match up correctly. What first appears to be Luigi's hand is actually the tube of the vacuum. I will say that it is strange it only happens here, in this one room during this one interaction. There's obviously other ways to get the camera to tilt upwards, such as vacuuming the ceiling, but that doesn't cause any errors with the lighting. Same goes for talking to Toad in the main hallway. The camera zooms, but no lighting errors. So perhaps there is still a bit of validity to hold on to. Tetrabit Gaming put out a Twitter post claiming that they had encountered the Luigi shadow in the 3DS version of the game as well. Though instead of it happening in the phone room this time, it happened in the conservatory. I unfortunately was not able to recreate this. Many people are still subscribed to the Luigi is Dead fan theory, and I'm not gonna lie, it's ridiculous. And I think everyone knows that, but that's part of the fun. Is it reading too deep in a tiny detail and blowing it way out of proportion? Totally. But this is also coming from a guy who made videos about Red killing Blue's Radicate, or the protagonist being the villain in Resident Evil 7, so maybe I really am a hypocrite. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Deep Cuts just in time for Luigi's Mansion 3, which I'm very excited about. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, because it really does help this channel out a lot. Thanks again. Peace.